Time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join News Director Paul David and News Editor Philip Katafamo as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics in Yavapai County that affect all our lives. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. As always, it is great to have you in studio with us. Two guests today, District 3 Yavapai County Supervisor Randy Garrison. Welcome back to studio.
Thank you, sir.
And first time sitting down with me is Executive Assistant Brandy Bateman. Welcome, Brandy.
Thank you so much.
Website for you, as always, if you want something about Yavapai County, just go to yavapai.us. Yavapai.us. All right, so I brought you in not so much to talk about COVID-19 numbers and things like that, but because I've got Leslie Horton coming in, Yavapai County Community Health Services Director, to come in, and she's going to talk about this week. And of course, we will talk COVID-19 numbers because you can't avoid it. It's just the way it is. But how has this impacted Yavapai County's finances? That's why I want to have you come in today, Randy, kind of talk about that. And how's the county handling this? Because we're back to doing the live TV radio program for Countywide. I've got you in studio. I got you in studio live with me as well. So that it's kind of jumping back in, and I'm trying to find everybody's comfort level, which is a weird thing to have to do as well. But some people I see at this extreme and some at this extreme, and we all seem to be kind of at the level right here. But it has had quite an impact since the mid-February is when I started to really get into reporting it, and definitely March it hit for sure. So tell me about the county status right now.
So the county, we're government. We never shut down. So we continue doing our work. The impact has been pretty dramatic in some cases, and in others not at all. Our budget, that's set a year out. A lot of our projects are 20-year projections, and you work on putting those in place. And so you continue doing all of that. Construction right now, I think we're 10% over what we were back in 2005, and that hasn't slowed down a bit. We're busy. We're just doing business a little differently than we were.
How has that gone? Because I think a lot of us have learned new ways to still communicate with each other. There was all kinds of interesting ideas that have come up with COVID-19 and the stay-at-home order, but how has that been working out?
So good and bad both. It's our office and the way we operate, we tend to be in front of people a lot and interacting a lot. We're out in our district and in the county a lot, and we're just started getting back into that. We were in Prescott all day yesterday. We'll be back over there all day tomorrow for the board meeting. So we're starting to come back together that way, but we've never stopped working. Matter of fact, if we can get back to a 60-hour week, I'll be just tickled pink.
I thought you were crazy for saying that, but okay. That's what you talked about before.
It's nuts. We are, because of Zoom and being able to be on Zoom and Teams, depending on what format your government is using. We're on steady meetings all day long because now you don't have to travel. It's easy to jump on, jump off. So everybody is just scheduling meetings left and right, and it's been that way since day one. So not only are we dealing with the 1,700 employees and the 27 different departments and continuing to do all of the work that the county does, we've been dealing with the pandemic, we've been dealing with budget issues, we've been dealing with projects that are having budget issues, or not budget issues, but mostly staffing issues. And now we're dealing with a shutdown, and now we're dealing with a new shutdown. We got the riots and we got all that happening, and so no matter how much other noise just keeps getting piled on top of what we're doing, we're still doing our underlying job every day of the week.
All along the way, we had to make sure that we were being able to still service our citizens and give them access to the things that they needed access to. So there was always that how do we operate as the government entity itself, and how do we make sure that we're continuing to provide services to our citizens?
So you two are probably on the phone constantly throughout this whole thing.
Or on our computers.
On the computers mostly,
Yeah.
Not the phone a lot, believe it or not. I mean, we still have constituents call in. We still have to answer the phones, but for the most part, we're meeting with most of the people we're dealing with through the computer.
Let me ask you this now: in terms of the meetings being public, how are we handling that to where the public can actually see what's going on and then actually address and say, well, hold on, what about this? I'm not too keen about this. It's going to be on the agenda.
So
have we had much of that?
We do, and you get complainers, that want the process to be public, and it's always been public. We've always had not always, but since before I got here, we have all our meetings are live online. You can get online and watch the meeting. You can chime in if you want during the meeting. You don't have to be in the room to participate in our meetings. That hasn't stopped. Just having the public in the room while we're there, that has stopped, and so we've stopped presentations and awards and those types of things. Matter of fact, the very last awards we did were the Golden Plate, and that's probably one of the biggest crowds we get in on an annual basis. Is we give out awards on both sides of the hill to the restaurants and the food service community and for doing a good job, and so they all come in and get their award and get a little public recognition for doing that. And that was a huge group, and that was the very last meetings we had before we had to pretty much shut everything down for the public. But we're trying to keep our public meetings to 10 people or less in the room at one time, and we're getting a lot of the Verde Valley right now. The last year we've been just so heavily impacted by development, and our planning and zoning committee has drawn very large crowds, and that's one of the commissions or committees that we've actually just shut down, and are not expecting that we're going to open that back up anytime soon. Right now we're not set to have another public planning and zoning hearing until at least September. And we're getting some criticism of that. The developers aren't happy about it because they want to move their projects forward and they want to get in the public. But we can't have, one of the last P&Z meetings we had about 200 people show up. We can't. We're going to have to rent an auditorium somewhere to be able to do anything considering CDC standards or governor standards on distancing to have that kind of a public output. So we're going to be shutting a lot of those types of things down for a while, but the business of the government, like I said, continues on. We have to continue doing things. Our employees are still working. We haven't laid off or furloughed a single employee, and we can't. We're busy. We're moving forward. So
that's good to hear.
So it's changed things. We had to buy a lot of technology. We had to send a lot of our staff home. I think to some extent, some of that staff will never come back. It's proved to be quite efficient way to get some of the work done. And matter of fact, some of the departments have actually become more efficient by not having things open to the public so much and dispersing our employees. We've had our facilities department has actually gone nuts. Our buildings are locked, but they're on overtime because we're putting up sneeze guards and those protections between the public and the employees.
Right, sure.
Not only at the front gate, the doorway or the counter where you come in and deal with it, but inside the facility as well, inside those offices. So we've had to take on some new financial challenges to deal with the emergency. I think in the long run it's going to be a good thing, but it made a lot of people in our county adopt technology that maybe didn't want to begin with, and now that we have, I think you're going to see it stick for a while. We're not going to go backwards. So it's been a good thing and a bad thing. It's been a stressful last couple of months. So.
All right, we got to take our first break. District 3 Yavapai County Supervisor Randy Garrison in studio today, along with Executive Assistant Brandy Bateman. Website again is yavapai.us. This is Countywide. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Closet space? Hi, I'm Tracy Shadley, owner of Organize A to Z. We provide professional custom design solutions to keep you and your space organized, which helps reduce your stress, increase your productivity, and allows you to take control of your belongings. We are proud to be locally owned and operated, specializing in custom closets, garages, offices, and pantries. Call me today for your free consultation. Organize your space, organize your life.
Two things we can count on every year.
A new set of tax rules and great weather here in northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
With too many senior homeowners falling short in their retirement dreams, there may be great news for you. A reverse mortgage may be the answer. The flexibility it provides may help you with your retirement dreams, peace of mind, and quality of life in your retirement. For your in-home, no-obligation consultation, contact me at 928-225-7418. That's 928-225-7418. Or you can find me at Facebook at Jim Hostler, Reverse Mortgage Specialist.
Hi, this is Lori and Melissa from Sedona Soul Spaces. We are the premier source for all your interior design, decorating, and staging needs.
Every day people ask, why didn't I call you sooner?
Let us use our passion, creativity, and experience to make your life easier.
Don't make costly mistakes. Call us and we will help save you time and money.
We offer full-service interior design, custom furnishings,
complete home staging, turnkey vacation home packages.
Sedona Soul Spaces, creating extraordinary spaces that delight your soul.
Welcome back to Countywide. It's great to have you in the studio. County Supervisor Randy Garrison, Executive Assistant Brandy Bateman. Yavapai.us is the website. Brandy, you're here right now, and you were telling me before the show that you are on the Beaver Creek School Board.
Correct.
And I know that Kathy Hoffman?
Yes.
Kathy Hoffman was going to put out, our state schools chief was going to put out kind of a guideline back to school. We're jumping away from, this is still Yavapai County stuff though, it's the schools, but I was kind of curious if you could share a little bit about what you've seen so far in regards to back to school ideas and how this is going to go.
Absolutely. So they did yesterday. We received it's the roadmap for reopening that was released from Superintendent Hoffman's office, and I feel like they did a really good job as far as making sure that everybody knows what they're responsible for. So there's the one that's for the schools in general, and that's the roadmap to reopen. And then they have information for families specifically, for students specifically, for teachers, for leaders. So they really broke it down so that it's going to be usable and digestible for the schools to implement, and so that everybody understands what their role is as we're reopening. That's
going to be a challenge, though. I mean, what you tell a 13-year-old or an 18-year-old, 17-year-old is way different what you tell a 6-year-old going into kindergarten. And the differences, did they kind of look at that as well? So I haven't dug that deeply into it, and I don't know if they've done that, but I think some of the challenges that we're going to be experiencing, we sort of spoke on earlier, is each of the schools has such unique challenges. So in our Beaver Creek area, we have a challenge with access to the internet, and so they've implemented a lot of things to make it easier for schools to do online education for their students. However, if you don't have access to technology, if you don't have access to internet, it creates a gap. And so there's still going to be challenges as we do this reopening and figuring out, do we change the number of minutes that are required for students to be in school, and what challenges does that create in terms of educating our youth? So like I say, I feel like Superintendent Hoffman did a really great job in breaking it down and not just saying, okay, this is the one thing that you need. Yeah, this is the one thing that you need to do, but saying we realize everybody's going to be different and that there's different groups that we need to address in terms of families, students, the leaders, the teachers, and what does that look like for everybody. Okay, well, just so everybody knows, watching, listening, County Superintendent Tim Carter will be back in studio with us towards the end of June, so I'm sure we'll probably outline that even more at that point in time. Randy, you want to talk about money? The budget, Yavapai County's budget actually looks pretty good, and it's been kind of a dire topic since this all happened. COVID-19 was that the budgets are just getting hammered.
It is, and one thing I wanted to share about what Randy was talking about is just like Yavapai County hasn't stopped doing business, our fire districts haven't stopped doing business, the schools never stopped doing business. They were actually taking homework to the bus stops every day and a meal for the kids. We have a high free and reduced population, a high population of people that are on assistance of some kind, and that had to continue. You can't just shut off all those food sources. You can't stop getting kids their education, even though mom and dad now are the provider of that. You still have to support that work. So, things never shut down. And rural Arizona, it's one of the big problems we have in rural Arizona is when things get done by our legislature, they get done to accommodate and to support Maricopa County or Tucson, our urban areas. But rural Arizona makes up the bulk of the state, yet we don't have the resources behind us that our urban centers do.
You feel like
when
we get left behind a little bit?
Oh, we get left behind so much.
Yeah.
I mean, half of our job really is just standing up and fighting. So it's not only just that side of the mountain, this side of the mountain, the Verde Valley versus Flagstaff, or Yavapai versus Coconino. It's everybody versus Maricopa County and Tucson.
I can relate to that, even in the news, yeah.
And when 90% of your legislature comes from that demographic, of course that's where the focus is going to be, and that's where the bulk of the funding is going to go. But we still have a job to do, and we have to do it in a whole different manner, and it costs more for us to do that. So it's just, like I said, government continues on. So our budget, we're continuing to move forward. People are complaining about, you need to shut down this, and you need to stop this, and some of these projects that we're working on have been 20 years in the making. They're part of a plan. We're moving forward with our plan. The government hasn't stopped. We haven't stopped. We're going to see a shortfall in revenues. Our budget last year was about $241 million. We're expecting between a drop in state shared revenue and HERF monies, which is gas tax and vehicle license tax and all that, we're going to see we're expecting right now that the about a $4.5 million drop between now and the end of our fiscal year, which is the end of this month.
Is that better or worse than you thought?
I think it's going to be less.
Okay.
A lot of people think it's going to be more.
Okay.
Our budget streams our revenue streams are much different than some of our local communities. Some of our cities and towns are going to have some really drastic measures to take, and have already. There's been certain entities that have already cut staffing and programs and shut down facilities and all that to be able to at least stay alive, because they are so much dependent on sales tax, where our biggest driver is property tax, and the county is in extremely good fiscal shape. We're at the bottom. So if you broke up the counties into medium, small, and large counties, we're actually the caucus for the medium county caucus, or the board chair for the medium county caucus down at CSA. 64 supervisors get together every month and go over the legislature and rules and all that. And in our group, we're at the low end of our indebtedness, and yet we're remaining very strong on our revenue stream. So we're going to see about, like I said, about a $4.5 million drop. That's what we're figuring right now. We'll see by the time everything comes in from the state. It's all delayed, 30 to 60 days, depending on what it is. So we'll have those numbers a little closer by the end of this month, because we'll be approving our new budget in July. But I'm expecting it's going to be less. People are still spending money. Car sales are up, gas sales are up. Tourism is starting to kick in again. Sedona's increasing their tourism about 10%, or they're doubling it pretty much every month.
Do you think by the end of June we'll start seeing how we're coming out of this thing?
I think,
because it just literally shut the world off.
Well, certain things did. So right. A lot of people, their businesses closed their doors. They went home. They're doing other things with their time. But like I said, we never stopped. Matter of fact, we went into hyperdrive. So we're continuing to do our projects and move forward. And we're going to have a hiccup. We had a property tax increase just this last year that we approved as part of our budget, and that was specifically designed to go for our new criminal justice center, which that'll be finalized this week. We'll be putting $65 million in the bank this week for that project. That's moving full steam ahead. We should be breaking ground September, I think, on that. That'll be about a 3 or 4 year project for us, but that's been in the planning stages for almost 20 years, probably seriously for at least the last 10. That's moving forward. We're still doing facilities and capital projects in the county. But about half of that tax that we increased, I think was 9 cents. Half of that's going to our Criminal Justice Center to get that thing built. The other half is going to our PSPRS, our Public Safety Retirement System debt right now to try and pay that down. And so that's on top of a $5.5 million investment we make every year in that. We're paying about another $4.5 million into that to try and pay that debt down and get rid of some of that interest. And we've been very good at doing that. So we've got a lot of money sitting in the bank right now to make sure that we can weather any of these storms. We have that $4.5 million all by itself that we could not pay that PRS extra in, which will cover pretty much everything that we're expecting and the state is projecting that we're going to lose over the next year and a half. And then the state just turned around and gave us a little over $10 million part of the CARE funding that was passed down from the federal government, and so that'll be used to pay off our mostly wages for our sheriff and our emergency response units, and then we'll take that money and put it back into our budget. So we're in good shape.
Good. All right, I got to take a break. Sorry. District 3 Yavapai County Supervisor Randy Garrison and Executive Assistant Brandy Bateman in studio. Stick around, Countywide, back in just a couple minutes.
Solid Rock Fitness is a one-on-one fitness studio specializing in fitness over 50. I train older adults of all fitness levels, from athletes and avid sports participants to folks with chronic pain to those recovering from surgeries. You and I will focus on strength training to improve overall muscle tone, core conditioning, balance, agility, flexibility, and nutrition. Mastery of these components of fitness will help you live your life to the fullest with confidence and competence.
Paul Stanley here with Stanley Steel Structures. We offer shade structures that provide style, value, and performance. Our Equinox louvered roof opens and closes to give you the ultimate patio experience. We also offer Alumawood shade covers that looks like wood but lasts like steel and never needs painting or maintenance. Visit us at StanleySteelStructures.com. Contact us today and be covered tomorrow. Stanley Steel Structures. Let us add some space to your place.
The EPA says C&B Construction ranks in the top 1% nationally. C&B Construction invites you to see what energy efficiency and indoor air quality can be. We have won another Department of Energy Innovation Award, and C&B Construction is the only contractor in the country to win 6 consecutive EPA Indoor Air Plus awards. Experience our zero-energy, move-in-ready homes at Crossroads at Mingus.
C&B Construction, locally respected, nationally recognized. Find out more at C&B Homes.com.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got just a couple minutes left in the program. Real quick, actually, we've got like 2 minutes left in the program. Legislative session was on, and then COVID-19 hit, and then it was done, and then the Senate came back and says, no, we're not coming back. The House said, yes, we are coming back. The House did a little bit of work. Senate came back in to look at it and said, no, we are done, and left. How has this legislative session, that lack of, impacted the state or Yavapai County in general?
Well, for us specifically, it sucked. This we were the legislative liaison this year for the county, and so we were very much in touch and working with the legislature throughout this entire year, and we had 5 different bills that were moving forward, and 4 of them were still alive and on the end zone, and all of a sudden this hit, and now they're dead, and all they had to be done was carried across the line, and they would have been majorly impactful for the Verde Valley. They would have been really good. And so next year we're going to have to pick up that torch and carry it all over again, and hopefully things will be better for us, but I can tell you the legislature's #1 priority is going to be trying to figure out how to make their budget fix. And typically that's done on the backs of cities and towns and counties, and so that's going to create some new challenges for us also. But we're going to be focusing once again on getting some legislation move forward and trying to fix some of our issues locally, and I think we'll have a good shot at it.
All right. Well, I know we barely scratched the surface with you, both of you today. I know we barely did, but we had a little bit of discussion about everything. So thank you, Randy Garrison, for coming in. I appreciate it. Brandy Bateman, thank you. We'll have you back, I'm sure, as well. Yavapai.us is that website again. Thank you, as always, for watching and listening. That's been today's Countywide, and we'll talk to you again next time.